Welcome. Hello, Liz. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Alex?
I'm good, thanks. You like my t-shirt, by the way?
I do. Not today, Dayton.
Not today, Dayton.
Is that available on your merch store?
It
Your
is. It
Ooh,
is. It's there's only a few left. I'm only going to get a couple of them. I'm doing them in batches of like 20 or 50 or whatever. And
okay.
this is one that I came out with recently, which is quite cool. But I just come up with like lots of different slogans and just have fun with it.
I know you sent me that fourth wall link, and I just got in there the other day. I started making some little things, little
How
upstat
exciting.
unicorn. That's my
Oh, I love that.
that's
That's
my
so
little
great.
slogan.
The good thing about Fourth Wall is like you literally just upload the design and then you can print it on pretty
Yeah,
much anything. You can make t-shirts, hoodies, and
it's
all
fun.
sorts. And it's just a nice way of people supporting the channel as well, and they get a bit of something back rather than just a donation. You know, they get merch and they can wear
Right.
stuff, right?
I like
So,
that.
but anyway, how are things with you? For those of you who don't know, I'm sure everyone knows who you are already, but Liz Gale is the author of a book, Confessions of an Ex-Scientologist Pothead.
Wait a minute.
That
Say it
was
again. I'm a what?
You're an author.
I'm an author. Okay.
How long has the book been out now? A couple of weeks?
Just over a month,
Month.
like 5 weeks. My baby's
Amazing.
5 weeks old. Thank you for asking.
And how is life as a published author, Liz?
It's fantastic. So much of that initial fear that I had, like I've talked about this before, not just the Scientology and not just the fact that it's a memoir, but it's art, putting something into the world. So now that I've gotten over all that, I'm raring to go. You will not stop me now. I'm just writing books. I'm addicted. So I'm addicted.
Nice.
That's what happened from this. I'm gonna
Oh, I
have a
love that.
party on live actually coming up because I'm gonna have a 500 books party.
Oh
I
gosh, amazing.
Yeah, I've sold 500 books. So
That's
I don't know what
incredible.
that will look like as a party. If you have any suggestions, let me know. But I want to
Well,
celebrate.
I've been loving your cult or Scientology kind of quizzes that you've been doing on your channel. Maybe you should do something like that. You could get some people in and do a quiz.
That's a good idea. I should do like mini quizzes and have a
Hmm.
couple different people come on. You want to come on? You want to come celebrate with me?
I'm down. Yeah, let's
Okay.
do it.
All
Always.
right, fun. I
How
love
are you
it.
doing with your channel? Because you are huge on TikTok, and that's kind of where you started. What's the transition been like coming over to YouTube? Has it been like, what's it been like?
I don't know. It's a hard thing to answer. It's a different audience, I feel like.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. I just got on here. I told you I was editing a TikTok. I just I keep finding myself gravitating back over there. So you might find a more serious version of me on YouTube
Yeah.
and then be shocked to just see who I really am on the TikTok.
I think that's the thing. TikTok is so like fast and fun, and like it is a different platform, isn't it? So it's
Yeah,
a different type of content. I don't think it's the place to have in-depth discussions about stuff. And you know,
right.
there's a place for that on YouTube too. Like I'm trying to have a real mix on my channel of like interviews and proper formal discussions, then
Mhm.
also just like live catch-ups and little chats, and you know, to show that we are
Right.
people and it's not all professional stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But TikTok is a much better platform. I can't use TikTok because when I first joined, I was on it for about a week and I loved it and it took over my life. And I
Oh
thought,
yeah.
no, if I don't put this down now, I will be all consumed.
That does happen. That does happen. Uh, I don't know how to there's just even my book, I would say, is written for the TikToker. Like I mean, you will not find in my book a big, heavy, like academic approach. It's very one-on-one kind of hanging out, and that's really my vibe. And so I do find that I want to talk about heavier topics, the children and mothers in Scientology and in cults in general. Women in cults is fascinating to me. Um, but I get a little carried away. So I have to find that right balance.
Well, that's the thing. Now you're a published author. You can have a series of books, right? And you can go in
Yes.
all different directions.
Yeah, well, I'm working on Confessions of an Ex-Scientologist Mom right now. And I'm really excited about that one because it truly is my passion, aside from the cannabis as the pothead thing. Um, I did go to school and I got my degree in child and family studies. And that's really important to me, figuring out it's also invisible. And then coercion is often invisible. And so there's these invisible strings that are pulled and manipulated. And I find that in Dianetics and Scientology, the mother-child connection is really targeted. So I tend to laser focus on that.
Mm. It's
Really
so interesting because
serious.
the concept of children just doesn't exist in Scientology, because the whole thought is, well, it's your family this lifetime, but it won't be your family next lifetime. You've had
Right.
thousands of mothers and thousands of fathers and
Right.
children and brothers and sisters, so it doesn't matter. And in a way, that makes it really sort of horrible when you look at disconnection and stuff like this. It's like, well, so what if I have to disconnect from my family because
Right.
you genuinely believe that it's just another Thetan, another being that
Yeah.
you will come across again in another lifetime at some point. So, just having this momentary disconnection for this lifetime means nothing. But that's
Right.
a horrible way to think, but you don't think of it like that when it happens.
Yeah. And I think if people grow up and they have sort of a secure attachment and they choose to live that lifestyle and think that way, that's one thing. But when you birth a child, their development is your responsibility. And it's not just feeding them and, you know, putting a place for them to sleep. There is a lot more to it. And Scientology, I think, really denies a lot of those developmental needs, especially at different ages and stages of development. It's hard to undo that damage later on. So, it's unfortunate. I laugh about it a little bit because 'cause I'm trying to undo that damage, and I'm laughing because it never ends. I just, keep going to therapy, keep doing the work, and it gets so much better. Um, but, what is that responsibility we have to children? And as a society, do we have a responsibility to protect children from being
Mm,
raised in high control groups or having high expectation religion put on them? I
mm.
think it's a worthwhile conversation. Maybe not
Yeah.
now, but in general.
Absolutely. I think, and also it's interesting to like dissect obviously a lot about children and how to raise children, and having done it, but also having your education. Like, you must understand all the different approaches to how to raise children in different ways, right? And not necessarily the right way and the wrong way to do it, but like
Mhm.
different approaches of development through the process of growing up. I mean, Scientology, I always thought it was really weird. There was a point when someone brought their kids into the org once, and they're running around, little toddlers, and they're talking to the kids like they're adults. And I was like, what? Like why are you speaking to this child like an adult rather than as like a child? And they're like,
Mhm.
well, because they are just big beings in small bodies. And
Right.
there's an element of kind of, I respect the whole idea of giving children independence
Right.
and saying, hey, yes, you can figure this out, and
Right.
helping them feel confident in themselves. But there's also an element of, no, kids are kids. They aren't fully grown. They're not fully developed and they need nurturing, right?
Right. Yeah, it's that age appropriateness. That's a concept that I never learned in Scientology and is one of the fundamental, um, sort of practices in child development, I guess. One of the fundamental theories that other things are built on is that you want things to be appropriate, your expectations to be appropriate for the age. So, like, you wouldn't expect a 2-year-old to do high level mathematics and then punish them
Right.
for not doing it or withhold food until they did it. So I think that's where, if you only have child and adult and you don't have any gray zone, it's like a child in Scientology. I think they're acknowledged to be babies and stuff, but you have to change their diaper and whatnot. But yeah, at a certain point, it's just like, welcome back. Get your shit
Yeah.
together. Here we are,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's a
You
lot of
can walk and
expectation.
talk, so why aren't you working, damn it?
Yeah, time for Scientology.
Yeah.
So I think there could be ways to, maybe practice Scientology in an age appropriate way before you're 18. I don't really know what that would look like, but I think the way it is now is just not age appropriate, especially when we talk about children's security checks.
Mm.
I don't know if you ever underwent a security check before, but
Not as a kid, no. But
yeah, even as
this
an adult, it's not fun.
but this is the thing, it's like, whether you can do it appropriately, it's like Scientology cannot change. Like, if you look
Right.
at the policy, it's L. Ron Hubbard, what he said is truth
Yes.
and that's gospel, and you can't change it. So there's so many things that would make Scientology a lot more um applicable, a lot less
Right.
harmful, a lot more helpful, that would be simple fixes, like, for example, taking into consideration child development, or paying your staff minimum wage, or providing medical care, or
Right.
things like this that would
Things that
make
will
the whole
never happen.
yeah, exactly. It would make
Yeah.
it a lot more tolerable, but it will
Yeah,
never happen because it can't, because the policy is the policy and you can't change
that's
it.
right.
So I think the debate then becomes not how do you make Scientology less harmful? It's like how do you stop Scientology because it is harmful in and of itself, right?
Yep. And I find too that there's the Scientology policy and then there's the Scientology culture.
Mm,
Because, if I talk to many people who had Scientology in their homes, we all didn't have the same experience. There were some children who never had were never forced into confessionals. And then there are other kids, whatever. I'm saying students because these were my peers at school.
sure, sure.
um, and some of them, literally, I know people who were assigned Scientology conditions, Scientology steps, and punishments for their chores not getting done. And like, I don't know who out there is a parent, but it is so age appropriate to not do your chores when you're supposed to do your chores. That is why it's like takes forever. You just remind and do it again and again. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't have consequences, but this idea that like you get it one time and you're just good to go, you're perfect, and that's the standard. Who can live up to that?
Yeah.
Who can live up to that? That's crazy. So then it's like, well, do you have age appropriate consequences or do you have Scientology consequences? So I don't know. I could go on forever about it, but the culture of Scientology fascinates me almost more than the policy.
Someone Rev Girl here is saying unionize Scientology.
Well,
I think
you've heard about that movement, right? The
no.
new Okay, so so you know about independent Scientologists,
Yeah.
correct? Okay.
Yeah.
So the independent Scientologists, particularly here in the state north of me, I'm in Oregon, Washington. There's a woman running for some sort of city council, state council, I'm not sure, a political platform, and she's also an independent Scientologist heading a movement to restore Scientology to its like original. This is not my idea. I don't stand for this. I'm just trying to explain it.
Sure, sure.
Like get it back to pre-Miscavige, to early LRH. Like,
Okay.
and on September 23rd, they had a protest down there at Big Blue, and
Is
there
that
were
the one that Lara went to, or is this a different one? Because I
no,
saw
that's
that
a
one. That was
different
amazing.
one.
I loved that Lara watched streamed the whole thing so we could watch.
Yeah,
Like I was there the whole time and I was like typing away, I was like, I wish I could be there in person. I'm protesting from my bedroom.
right. I love that. I was
Yeah,
working, but
yeah. But
yeah,
this was another one, a different protest.
yeah, which is funny that they had one, and then I think it was the very next weekend they had
Mm.
another one. So they're probably hoping it's not a trend. If anybody wants to this next weekend go protest down there for no
Oh my God,
reason, we
do
could
it.
just week after week just keep it going.
I think that's actually not a bad idea. Maybe we should organize like a daily or a weekly protest, like every lunch break or something, if people in the local area
Right?
go down and spend an
Right?
hour protesting. Like, I don't know, they'd probably just adapt their schedule to adjust to it, wouldn't they? But
I
you
wonder
know,
if you could have a billboard, like a screen billboard, and actually be having live of multiple people up on a big screen. So you would just see everybody's familiar faces. And so eventually you would see somebody you knew up there,
that's a
like
great
these are
idea.
all the people who are out. We're all out. Come join
Maybe we
us.
should
Like,
look
that's
at
my
like
so and so.
maybe we should hire a billboard that's like opposite the org or something,
Yeah.
either
Well,
in
someone did
Clearwater
that
or in
too
LA. Yeah, I know, and I saw
years
I've
ago.
seen the picture of it. Yeah,
Phil
but
Jones, I
maybe
think.
we should get one that's a digital screen. Like you get on bus stops
Yeah.
and stuff, and then you can
Yeah.
put up different pictures and
Hmm.
every day have a different person. That's a good
Yeah.
shout. I bet it'd be way too expensive though.
What's
But
too expensive to save lives?
that's true. That is a very good point.
I mean, I don't know.
That is
We
a
could
very
just
good point.
skip the the thing and just go straight for a like the sphere, a holographic image. It's just L. Ron Hubbard like out there outside. Come, leave Scientology. It is no longer good for you. Please leave.
Well,
Exit the building.
one of my moderators, Mrs. J, I don't know if she's here in the chat at the moment, but
Oh
she's so
yeah.
cool. She have you spoken to her? I don't know if you've
Yeah, we
crossed
did a
paths with
live
her.
one
Did
morning.
you?
So hi
Oh,
Mrs. J.
amazing.
Yeah.
She's so lovely. Well, she's got a website, iamelronhubbard.com. I don't know if
I
she told you about this. I love it. It's kind of, for those of you watching who don't know, it's kind
Mhm,
of like a story of what happens to L. Ron Hubbard after
mhm,
he dies, and how he's on Target 2 and coming back. And
mhm.
like, it's so funny and it's great. Like AI art and the stories
Yeah.
and stuff. It's adds a little bit of humor to a very serious
Yeah.
topic.
I like the humor. I
Yeah.
think we all need that, especially when you're talking about heavy topics that personally affected your life. You know, I
Mm,
don't just talk about the child and family thing because I'm over here with a great childhood. Like,
yeah.
I genuinely want to understand it, and um, so those can be extra
Yeah.
triggering. So I love the humor. She's
Well, let's
hilarious.
talk about your book actually a little bit because I haven't read it because it's not available in the United Kingdom yet.
Guess
So, do you want
what?
to talk a little bit about what your book covers so that I can be
Sure.
prepared for it? And are there any plans for it to be released in the UK, Liz? I'm
Well,
dying to know.
Alex, you don't say. Yes, I am so excited. The book will be ready by the end of the weekend. You will be able to get it
Yay!
on Amazon in the UK and Australia. So actually, I'm releasing it on a couple. You guys probably know them. I'm not familiar with the platforms, but they're ebooks that distribute to many English speaking countries around the world. So that's exciting. Um, it is. I You can get an ebook, but I really am proud of the paperback because I have a lot of little
Oh,
graphics.
cool.
Yeah, and then on a lot of the pages I have also like there's all kinds of little tidbits everywhere.
Nice.
Yeah. So I was born a third generation Scientologist, and this is a collection of confessions, but like I was a snitch. It's a confession. My brother told me top secret Scientology secrets before he died. That's one of my confessions. It's really just me. So either you love me or you hate me, but here's my book.
It
But
must have been such a good process to go through, like in your head, figuring out, like writing it down and putting it into a
yeah,
story that other people can understand. Must have helped you kind of sort it out in your own head a little bit, no?
absolutely. And
Yeah.
I kind of brought the confessions approach because there are so many things that I thought I was bad. I thought I was wrong. I was bad. I was degraded being. I was all these terms in Scientology, PTS, suppressive person, all these different things. And I really internalized that throughout my childhood. And so being able to write as a sort of confession, it's almost like they're OWs. I didn't use the same format or anything. Um, I
That
don't
would
know, it's
actually
a
be
little
quite a good
cheeky,
book.
you
Can you
know?
imagine if a book was just a collection of OWs? But
OWs?
yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that. I always have so many projects going, but I'm really interested in the diary format. I just
Mm.
think it's really cool. I read Bridget Jones' Diary when it came out as a younger girl and changed my life. So I think that'd be really interesting too. I really enjoy the interpersonal dynamics and the family dynamics of cults and cult
Mm.
culture. So that's what I focus on mostly.
That's what I
And
love about SPTV is that there's so many different people. There's almost 50, if not more than 50, like SP channels now on
I
YouTube.
didn't. I was
It's
guessing
mad.
around 25. That's
No,
awesome.
I there's a list out there that I started going through, and it's something like 40 or 42 actual former Scientologists, and then there's an additional
Wow.
10 or more of people like Pole on the Go, for example, and Clearwater
Right.
Chad, who talk
Right.
about the topic and support it, but don't have a Scientology experience themselves. So it's over 50 SPTV channels, like, and it's
Wow.
growing every day, and that's the beauty of it. The more people that join SPTV, the
Right.
more opinions and viewpoints there are that appeal to different people, and
Yep.
like your look at things is different to everyone else's, and that's what's
Yep.
great is everyone has their own take on it. It's
Yeah.
such a
Well,
weird
isn't
phenomenon.
that what we fought for? Isn't
Yeah,
that what we lost
exactly.
everything for? Isn't that why I was homeless? Like, so that I could finally speak my truth.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
no one's gonna shut me up now.
Yeah.
Sorry, world, I'm coming.
But it's such a good like
Mm,
example of critical thinking of like in Scientology you can
yeah,
only read LRH tech. Like there's no other room for other interpretations or other knowledge. You can't get information anywhere else. And
right,
just the fact that there are 50 people talking about it on YouTube
right.
shows that no, it's okay to get your information from multiple sources and everyone has their
Mhm.
own take on it, you know?
Yeah. I find almost one of the biggest hurdles that I've heard people close to me trying to overcome is they're really watching and want to be a part of this. And I would just encourage everybody because one thing, I think there's only like one real rule, only one rule of SPTV, but it seems to be everyone's going to say what they're going to say. no one's tried to tell me what to say. Maybe that's because they know if they did that it wouldn't go well. But I think that's the joy though, right? That's how you can have your own platform. You don't have to pitch your story to a news platform that has a bunch of legal rules. You don't have to have someone else write your book for you. You can just get up and speak.
Yeah. And then you can do what I do, which I still feel really guilty about, which is perhaps being a little bit too over engaging in the live chats, because you do your cult news thing, which I love and it's fantastic. But then I come in and I'm like trying to support everyone. I'm like, hey, how's it going? And I'll comment and then do you remember that stream you did? And
Yeah.
it's like a back and forth between you and me.
I was perfect.
I took over your stream. I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I'm just like sat here going, oh my God, like keyboard warrior type thing.
I love it. I love it. That's what we're all here for, right? What's the point of sharing if people aren't, excited? So I'm always glad to see you in there.
I love your news. I haven't started doing that sort of thing yet, because a couple of people have started doing like roundup news segments, and I think it's really good, and it's nice to see like the stories that maybe I've missed or see different people's opinions on them. And I'm loving it's a weekly catch up you do, right? Where you look at the SPTV news stories of the week.
Yes. Cassie Marie. So we're both came over from TikTok. She's also a TikToker. It's Cassie Marie Art and Cults and Art, I think. And she has a lot of followers over there. And same thing. She was one of the first people who wasn't raised in Scientology who I could have a conversation about Scientology with without explaining everything. She really impressed me. So yeah, we do a roundup of SPTV and we try and throw in a couple other culty things here and there. And again, it is just our take on it. Just a couple of girlies chatting about it. Because even I can't watch all of the SPTV news. So sometimes her and I assign things to each other so that she'll follow one and then tell me about it. So half the time you guys are watching, we're both learning on the go as well.
I used to be so on it and watch everything and read everything, and then now it's overwhelming. I can't keep up. Like, it's a good thing, because I can only imagine what it must be like for current Scientologists in the Sea Org, OSA, having to watch and report on all of them. I've always said the more clashes there are, the more videos there are and live streams and so on, the harder it makes their job, and hopefully that means they'll get to the point where they just give up.
Right.
But you never know.
Or they just won't have enough people to do all the top secret-y, clearance stuff. There's got to be a tipping point at some point in Scientology. And this is where I think, have some, maybe you call it cognitive dissonance or just confusion. On one hand, I totally understand and respect why people don't get out or they live under the radar. I totally understand that. I lived that way for 10 years of my life. I 100%, well, I can't say 100% for every situation, but I get it. Rest assured, I do get it. But on the other hand, I want everybody to come out, and I don't want anybody to lose their family. But part of me thinks that if we kind of all had a strike at the same time, there wouldn't be any more, there'd be nothing left to hold us there. You can't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I wonder how many people are in Scientology, like, quote, that are just, I don't want to lose my mom. I don't want to lose my dad. And the mom and dad are just like, I don't want to keep doing this, but nobody's talking to each other.
That's the thing, because you can't talk to other Scientologists about how you feel about stuff. So I was thinking this about a friend. I was talking to someone the other day about a friend who's currently in Scientology that I know, who I would highly be surprised if he ever left, because his whole family is in Scientology. He's, a third generation Scientologist, just like you were. And this conversation I was having with someone else about him who knows him, it was like, it's wild, because the whole family might all be thinking, I'm so done with Scientology, and they all want to get out, but they don't know that that's what they're thinking. And there's no way of them ever discussing that, because they're all kind of in for the sake of each other.
There is a way. There's a way, is if one person starts that conversation. That's the thing. And it's a huge risk, because they might lose everything. Chances are I did. I'm not saying you won't, but otherwise, what are we doing? It's like, I get back into that loop thinking sometimes where, and the only thing I can see to break it is to just stand up and say, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
Like Jerry Maguire when he walked out of the office, took his fish with him. Like, "Who's coming with me?"
I
I
love
shouldn't
it.
drop a Tom Cruise reference in leaving Scientology, but whatever.
Well, it is what it is. You can't talk about Scientology without talking about Tom Cruise, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a couple of comments here. Aaron Hubbard
Oh,
is here in the chat. Confessions. I want to hear them all.
my first crush is asking about my confessions. All right. Yeah, it's awesome. There are a bunch in there, and some are a little risque, actually, to be honest. There's one
Mhm.
chapter that I've only had one is so, I think, risque that I've only had one person reach out and say, "Oh, wow." And everybody else is like, because it's
Oh
pretty
wow!
gnarly. So we'll
I
see.
can't wait to read it this
Yeah.
weekend, right? In the UK.
Mhm, mhm.
I'm so
And the way it
excited.
works, I'm assuming, is that there's a printing press there, so it would come to
Yeah.
you very quickly, I hope.
Same with Fourth Wall. Like, well, that's the good thing about it is I've had people message me in the States going, "How on earth did you get the merch to me so quickly?" I'm like, "Because they
Yeah.
print it in the US or the EU or
Yeah,
Australia, wherever you are, according to what's
perfect.
closest." But PTS for life. Jeff, he's a really cool guy. I don't know if you know about Jeff, but he is a former
Oh,
Canadian Scientologist that just
oh,
started
hi,
speaking
Jeff.
out. His dad was, I think, the head of CCHR in Canada,
Oh,
and
okay.
he was raised in Scientology in Vancouver, and then went to LA to join the Sea Org, and then went back to Canada, and now he's speaking out basically. And he's just started his channel, and he's amazing. He's just hit 1,000 subscribers, and I think
Awesome.
he is going on with Aaron very soon as we finish, actually. So
Oh,
go and
that's
check
who you
him
were
out. He's
talking
really
about.
cool. Yes, yeah, Jeff
Awesome,
Beaumont. He said here
awesome.
emotional development was a huge part of my childhood that was missing.
Yeah. I'd be curious also to talk to him sometime. My mom was also CCHR, pretty high up. She was on, like, the PR route for CCHR, and I
Oh,
think
wow.
that there's a specific culture, even so, that comes with that, because a lot of the CCHR people, in a way, were like OSA. They were trained to deal with the negative press in the outside world, so, um, I'm curious what that was like. I'll tune into Aaron and see.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he tells a story of like with the CCHR stuff as a kid having to go on protests against psychiatrists and like
Right.
having pictures taken for the press with them trying to
Mhm.
shove like a fake pill down his like a
Right.
massive blow up pill or something down his mouth. And it's just
I
it's
remember
a
those
prime
promos.
example of using kids to forward
Mhm.
Scientology like messaging without even like he doesn't know what he's doing. He's just been told to show up and do this, and it's horrible how they use kids to promote their front groups, right?
Mhm. Absolutely. Well, yeah, that's so crazy. It reminds me of the Westboro ministry, Westboro Baptist, I wanna say ministry, and they
Mhm.
would picket at veterans' funerals, and they would have signs about, like, "God hates" fill in the blank, whatever they didn't like. Usually, it was something about LGBTQ, but it could be anything. And those kids were out there singing songs, and I don't know how damaging that is. That's sad. I'm so sorry that he went through that.
Yeah. Well, hopefully his channel booms now. I mean, it's so
Absolutely.
nice to like hear again another story. One of the things we've talked about before is like me and him on interviews done with him, it's about how speaking from the UK, I've had those people come out to me going, just hearing a British voice has made me realize that I'm not alone and so on. And
Oh,
and Jeff has done the same thing. He's like, just speaking out as a Canadian has helped
mhm.
a load of people have messaged him saying, "Oh, I didn't realize I'm not the only Canadian that's been through this." And just the more
Right.
people we can get to speak out from a city level org perspective, I think the
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, I agree. Is he on now? Should we get off and
I think he is. I think I
yeah.
haven't got the notification, but yes, we should start wrapping up. I just want to
Yeah,
go
let's
through
do it.
some more of these last ones. Trev Anon, hello from
Hey,
Clearwater,
Trevor.
Netherlands.
I hear
Great
Trevor on an
supporter.
email, I think.
He's always in the chat.
Sorry.
Really big supporter. Hans Christian Schwartz, good evening. Hello. SPTV Tattoo Warrior, it's our Liz. There's a lot of love and support for you
Oh,
in this chat, Liz.
no one calls me Hour. Thank you. Thank you, Tattoo. I love it.
And Jeff actually commented here, I'd love to join a chat with you and Liz
Yeah,
sometime. We
for
should do
sure.
that.
For sure.
100%. And I think
Yeah.
the last one here, which is a good one to end on, is from Joni Cummings. Come out, oh, so we can help you. We love you. I mean, if you are currently in Scientology and you need help escaping, firstly, if the Aftermath Foundation exists to help people that want to leave, they will help you land on your feet. Go to the aftermathfoundation.org. But also, I don't want to speak on your behalf, but pretty much every SBTV creator I've spoken to, if you just want to like speak to someone who's been through something
Yeah.
similar, just email us. Like I'm
Totally.
always happy to talk to anyone currently under the radar who has left and doesn't want to speak out publicly.
Yeah.
Like for me, my priority is helping people, not putting them on my channel. Right, I
Yeah,
will always be there to speak to someone and
totally.
help someone before even thinking about an interview or whatever.
Yeah, always. And I think that is one of the genuinely wonderful things that I found when I came out of Scientology. There is an actual support group of second and third, just generational, as well as other groups of people who got in different times of their lives or moved on. So I guess my point is like there's all these little support groups too. So you don't have to fit in. There's a spot for you no matter who you are.
Exactly. We're all
Mhm.
here to help. And yes, we're
Yeah,
suppressive people, but actually, we don't want to get in the way of your survival. And we actually want to help you.
right.
And we're really lovely people and really supportive. And I've been overwhelmed and surprised at how nice and supportive everyone is. So,
I'm
this
kind of a
whole.
bitch, so whatever.
Well, I haven't got that from you. I've had nothing but great conversations with you, Liz. So I
No, that's
can't.
not to discourage anybody, but if you like the sassiness, then I'm your girl, but that's what I got.
I love it. Well, look, Liz, thank you so much. It's just a
Yes,
short one. Everyone go and check out
absolutely.
Jeff's interview with Aaron on Growing Up Scientology, and we will speak to you all very soon. Thank you
Yep.
so much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, Alex.